Eleanor, hello, Eleanor.
Hello, Eileen.
So we are here today for a very brief conversation, as we promised,
Mhm.
for the folks of Division 32 and the newsletter to have a conversation about where we are at this point in time. And as you and I have a conversation for many, many years at this point,
Yeah,
we shall continue with this one. So thanks for taking time for this. And as we both don't know exactly where it's going to go, I suggested that we think of the theme of legacy and as I said to you, most people know who you are and your connection to humanistic psychology, but it bears a little bit of repeating for those who don't know you. But more important is what you hope to have contributed and what you see, where you see the field of humanistic psychology or the hopes for it in the future.
great.
Your turn.
My turn. I am always very happy when I get asked the question of how would you like to see things developing in the world? It delights me to think that I have any opportunity to contribute to that. And it just makes me happy. So you and I were talking about the fact that people do ask me how I would like things to go in the future. And I was saying that we really don't know what direction things are going to take, both climactically and also socially and so forth. From my perspective, I plan to do whatever I can do for as long as I'm here. So how long I'm going to be here is an open question. It could be a relatively long time, and it could be shorter. So I just want to do what I can do while I'm here and contribute whatever I can contribute. And that is totally up to the will of the people. It's totally up to what people want to do with their lives and what opportunities will come to them to do what they want to do in their lives. It's totally up to the mix of everything. So I am a humanistic psychologist. I am many other things at the same time. I have many involvements in human welfare, many things that I contribute to, explore, make use of, and so forth. So one of the things that I love about humanistic psychology is that it is timeless. It is more needed today than ever before. And it has more to contribute today. And there are expanding horizons where it is contributing. And for example, in social justice, globally, the principles of humanistic psychology are incredibly valuable for securing that for everyone. And they have made a lot of contributions to the way things have been done. Now we're entering some new eras in which we have to see, are those principles going to hold or not? And it's up to us to make sure that they do, because otherwise they will get swept away by other interests What do you think of that?
I have a question, which is I'm curious about what you think those interests or perspectives are. And I'm thinking, are they unique to humanistic? Maybe, maybe not, but let's say they're a priority for us. And
So,
what's
I'm not quite clear on your question.
well, if we're going to hope that certain principles of humanistic perspective,
Mhm, mhm. Well, it has to do with valuing the dignity and integrity of all people. That's a prime thing, that you yourself have a right to that for your own self and also for all the people that you relate to. And it's very important that children be given this opportunity both when they're growing up and as part of the ethic that they are learning as they're growing up. It's incredibly important. And so, but also to do it in such a way that it is free and exciting and full of life and energy for people. And that it includes things like dance
Mhm.
and the arts and music. And it includes all of those things as very important components.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you, of course, the body and somatics, right?
Mhm.
The whole human being.
Yeah,
Uh,
yes. So I would like for everyone to have as much knowledge about their bodies and how their bodies work as possible
mhm.
so that they know how to self-regulate certain aspects. For example, there are people running around who are enormously anxious. They're afraid, they're anxious, they're uncertain, they're all of those things. And they don't have any tools to self-regulate that or take care of it or appreciate it. But they could learn. We can share it with them. So there's so many aspects of life that people can learn how to do more easily and comfortably. And we, humanistic psychologists, can help them do that. That's part of our mandate, if you will. And there's a lot of it going on, both in institutions and also in communities. So there's so many programs and groups and shared enterprises and businesses that have that as part of it. And so various religious groups and so forth and so on is very prevalent today and can be shared globally. And it is to the degree that I am able to be in touch with people in other countries throughout the world. I am so happy to relate to people who are kindred spirits. They just are. They grew up that way. They're seeking it. They're making it part of their lives. And it's precious.
I hesitate to ask you this, but I also see the opposite happening, the retreat into tribes and ethnic identities, cultural narratives, and distrust of each other growing around the
Yeah.
world. How
Yes.
can how do we as humanistic psychologists try to help with that situation?
I think we have to do sort of a combination. So we have to appreciate the tribes and groups and cultures and appreciate and communicate while at the same time sharing what we share in common. So you can have your tribe, your group, your culture, all of it precious. And also we can share them. That's so important. A tendency in the world right now is to draw away from the idea of sharing and to find it, for example, the whole thing of talking about yoga and whether it's cultural appropriation for us to be practicing yoga, those who are not Indian. And so what I say to that whenever I get a chance is that the world is full of cultural appropriation. India is full of appropriations from the United States. Mm-hmm. For example, up until recently, the medical system there has been very Western, very Western centered. Now they are with their Prime Minister Modi, bringing in more of the traditional healing ways. They were doing that before he came into power, actually. But we are learning from each other. For example, one of their universities, SVIASA, talks about the best of the East and the best of the West. And that's a coming together. It's not I'm not going to have anything to do with your ways because they're your ways, but a sharing, because that's the way the world has been, a sharing of cultures. That's why it's so intercultural to start with, is that it's been a sharing. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful practice, as long as you remember where those practices came from and appreciate their cultural home, if you will, rather than forgetting the roots. It's appreciating them and continuing them. We have many more things to share with each other because we're all developing new ways of doing things all the time. And to share them is very, very important, but not in a kind of exclusive way of keeping things away from other people, but a sharing way, an appreciative way.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hope that we, humanistic psychologists, can contribute to that.
Yeah. Yes, I think, so many of the principles that Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers and others pull together are so universal. I mean, they have existed throughout time. They didn't just all of a sudden come into existence in the late 50s, early 60s. And need to grow and develop. And one of the things I really like is research coming in to enhance our understanding of practices and how much they positively impact on health and well-being and full lives for people. So one of my interests is in brain research and our understanding of how our brains contribute to what we're doing and how that can be enhanced. And there's some people who feel that that's not appropriate. And I would hope that those people can appreciate the findings from many traditions, that just like we want to work together multiculturally, we also want to work together interdisciplinarily, not in silos. You know, this is the truth. This is the only truth. And anything else anybody's doing, it's not science, it's not relevant, but a sharing. See, we are moving. If everything goes well enough, we are moving into an incredible period of human existence. But we have to make sure the ship stays steady while we do.
Oh, yeah. I think that's beautiful. I'm thinking of, of a lot of negative things like fighting for resources on the planet and climate change. And I'm thinking about Abraham Maslow saying something like we need a new version of human nature, our higher selves. We need
Mm.
because there's so much uh fighting over resources and competition and nationalism and struggles over boundaries and resources on this planet, and it's going to get more crowded and more that somehow we need to come from our higher selves.
Yes. And there are a number of people today who are working on that within themselves.
Yeah.
They are trying to move into that aspect of themselves. And there are quite a number of them with different persuasions, different approaches, different belief systems, different attitudes, and all of them have contributions to make.
I thought you were going to say there's quite a few number of us, meaning you being one of them.
Oh, you know what? You know what? You always catch me on that. What I mean by that is that I'm always talking about
Yeah,
about them, and I leave myself out.
exactly. And because it's so important, the point you just made is that we have to work on ourselves as you've been doing your whole life.
I have been.
You radiate that. So, and to me, that's humanistic. It's not necessarily talking about values, it's being those values. It's
Yeah,
in our being.
yeah. It's really important. So it's kind of being aware on an ongoing basis. Am I behaving congruently with my values or not?
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't notice it. We don't realize that we've strayed over a boundary. And maybe someone will call our attention to it, or we'll notice it.
Mhm.
Hey, wait a minute. This does not fit. This is not the way your true self would be behaving. And no, I have been working on myself, and I don't consider that I have achieved it. I'm still a work in progress. And I only have so much time left to work on this. So I am at peace with the fact that I will not totally achieve. I'm totally at peace with that because there is so much I want to do before I leave. And I know that I won't be able to do it all. But I also know that many things that I care about are in place. They are planted. They are seeds that are planted, and they are growing, and there are wonderful people bringing them along for themselves.
That's right, the seeds, yes, planting seeds.
Yeah. So that makes me very happy, because it's not like carrying something that you don't know what will happen when you're not around to carry it. But knowing that actually there's some very good people who are already carrying it and want to carry it more.
And you've been very careful about cultivating those seeds
I have,
and keep your
as
work.
well as I can, whenever I'm invited to. I go where I am needed. And if there's a place where I am not needed, okay, I'm going over here.
I love that smile. I'm thinking maybe this is the place we might stop,
Great.
because as you began by saying, there are no answers. There's no way of knowing where any of this is going, or when things end and when they begin, and when the seeds grow, and we're all works in progress. And you've made that very clear.
And do the very best that you can.
The very best.
Take care of yourself. Great. Thank you so much.
I'm
Yeah.
always such a privilege to share these, especially at this tender time of our lives and the world.
It is a tender time. It is a tender time. We are waiting to see how it works itself out.
With patience, equanimity, and good friends.
Yeah. And for everyone. See, it is for everyone.
All right.
Night.
Good night, Eleanor. Thanks. Till our
Thank
next conversation. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.